Hi, I'm Audrey Meyer, and this is the Find Your Superpower podcast, the show where we hear the story of incredible people changing their body and mind to reach their goal and achieve a peak state. From entrepreneur to community leaders and so on, we learn what it really takes to find your superpower. Everyone. So today I'd like you to meet Amberly Lago. Hi, Amberly.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy you're here with us. So thank you. The pleasure is ours. So I'd like to tell the audience a little bit about you because your story, Amberly, is like, wow. I don't even know how to say, but it's just like amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So everybody's looking at you like, oh, this gorgeous, smart woman, but they have no idea what you went through. So I'd like to tell you guys a little more about Amberly because at the age of 38 years, her life got totally turned upside down when she got hit by an SUV while riding her motorcycle. So Amberly had 34, right, surgery to save her leg from amputation. And also you've been diagnosed by CRPS, which is complex regional pain syndrome. So I didn't know anything about that. So I'd love you once I'm done just to tell the audience a little bit because it's also called the suicide disease, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you definitely know about resilience because you have lived it, right?
Yeah. It's sometimes just hearing you say that, sometimes we forget how much, I can be pretty hard on myself. But when we think about how far we've come and how, I'm filled with gratitude just for the ability to be sitting here with you today, because for a long time, I was in a coma, then they were going to amputate my leg. I had a 1% chance of saving it. And being an athlete and a dancer my entire life, waking up out of a coma, that was like the worst thing that I could hear just about was, we're going to amputate your leg. But when they told me I had a 1% chance, that gave me hope. And so just 34 surgeries and months in the hospital, I fought to save my leg and was finally upright on my crutches. And that's when I was diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome. And it's dubbed the suicide disease because it leaves you in constant chronic pain. So over the past, it's taken 10 years to be here at this moment and really fine tune some tools because I was in and out of the hospital, in and out of surgeries. And then I was really at the lowest point in my life where I wanted to give up. I didn't want to live anymore. And I didn't want to continue living in pain. I didn't know how I could live a life of joy. And my world got smaller and smaller. I lost my career. We had a lien on our house. I lost my confidence. I was filled with shame because I didn't feel like I was good enough. And so it's taken a long time to dig deep to find the tools to climb out of that dark space where I can find happiness. And I have finally accepted the way that, all the scars, because my whole leg and from the hip down is covered in scars. And it took a long time to accept that, not only accept it, but learn to love myself again. And now I'm passionate about sharing those tools to how to overcome obstacles, what to do when life doesn't go your way or things don't go as planned. And because it definitely didn't go as planned for me. So I'm just happy to be here and grateful to sit and share anything I can to give to your audience. So whether they're going through a hard day or a divorce or struggling with pain, emotionally or physically, I would love to offer them anything I can to help them through those times.
This is great. And thank you so much for opening up and sharing your story with all of us. And I know that today you are leader expert in the transformation of health and wellness. So my question is like, you such a smart woman. You've been featured on NBC, Today Show, Hallmark, and I have the list here. It's just long and long. TEDx Talk, Good Morning Lalaland, and magazine, Health, Fitness, Pregnancy, Shape, Disability Magazine. So how did you go through, how did you get through those traumas of 34 surgery and just rebuild yourself, being like the
Oh, you know,
woman you are
it
today?
well, it takes time. And I want to tell you that if there's anybody listening or watching this right now and you're feeling discouraged or wondering, well, how can I possibly, do that? Look, I was told I would be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. I was told that I would never run again. I only have, a high school diploma. I don't have a college education, but I had the passion in my heart to make a difference and to share what the hope that I had with others. And so every day it was doing one small action step a day, which when I was stuck in the hospital bed, sometimes that just meant being able to stand up for seconds at a time. And seconds at a time led to being able to walk on crutches for a little bit. And that led to being able to, I remember the first time I was able to walk, it's about a tenth of a mile to Starbucks from my house. And I remember the first time I was able to walk on my crutches to Starbucks. And that was a huge milestone because I would have to stop and look, put my leg up on a little ledge in between here and there because it was so painful. And so those little victories along the way just gave me the motivation and the confidence to keep putting one foot in front of the other, literally one step in front of the other, and to where I was walking on my own again. But then it would be, back in a wheelchair some days because I'd go back in for a surgery. And so along the way, I would do whatever I could to be my healthiest, whether that was eating my healthiest, still working out, even in my hospital bed when I was bedridden. I was doing weights in the hospital bed for my upper body to keep my upper body strong and to keep, because when you're working out, it makes you feel good. It releases endorphins. So luckily, I've been in the health and wellness industry for 22 years. And before that, I was a dancer. So I knew that if I could just move my body, that I would feel better. Yeah. And so I did whatever I could to move. Even when I was stuck in a hospital bed, I had one of the doctors install a pull-up bar in my bed. So I was doing pull-ups. And that was mainly so I could change my old bedpan, to be honest with you. I was like, I can use the bathroom, my bedpan on my own. But, it was little things like that when I look back, that because a lot of times people see, oh, wow, she was on the Today Show and she did a TEDx talk and this and that. It took a long time to get to that point. And it was every day being willing to show up and take an action step. So that looked like writing down small goals in my journal every day and deciding that, okay, this is my goal today, like we were just talking about before we started this interview about, I was like, this is so amazing that you're doing this. And I'm working on my online course and it's really challenging. It's kind of hard. And what I've done every day is written down, I will finish my online course. And so what is the action step that I can do today to finish that? And I love making a list and checking things off. Yeah. And as long as we have our priorities in check and do those important things, then it gets done. But it's when we start wandering around going, oh, I think I'll scroll through Instagram, or I think I'll watch Netflix, or, this looks pretty good to go shopping over here. Those things that throw us off of our game. It's like we have to stick to our priority list and really just take those small action steps every day. And those small action steps lead to big things, Hard work puts you where your blessings can find you.
Yeah, this is huge what you just say, because also sometimes, we're watching a successful people like you or the person, and they're like, wow, look at that person. But we have to look what every little step you went through, right? From like standing like 5 minutes to be able to walk to Starbucks. It's like all those little steps you did daily. So
Mm-hmm.
the reason I say that is just to tell the audience how important those many tasks are daily, right? When you
Mm-hmm.
want to reach your big goal in 10 years, 5 years, 1 years, break it down and just do those many tasks, because look at you, those many tasks you did every day, that's
Mm-hmm.
where it brings you, right? This is so important. So I just wanted to amplify it and make sure the
Yeah,
audience.
I think that, if you really look at it, your success is hidden in your daily routine. And I am a firm believer that I believe in having a daily routine. Like, I have a morning ritual that I do, and I set myself up with a foundation of serenity before my day is crazy. So I don't wake up and then, although I want to wake up and go straight for Instagram. I wake up, I have quiet time. I write in my gratitude journal. Gratitude's huge for me. I do a short meditation. It doesn't have to be long. And I read out of some of my spiritual books. And so I get really grounded and connected. And then I focus on my intentions, and then I start my day. And I believe that your daily rituals and all the things that you do daily, those add up to getting you closer and closer and closer to what your big goal is. I mean, if you look at some people like Mel Robbins, for instance, who's one of my favorite motivational speakers,
Yeah.
she just got her own talk show. Well, she's been doing this for 10 years. She's been waking up and every day putting in the work, putting out videos, doing interviews, and it just takes time. It's working towards your dreams so they will come true every single day.
Yeah, that's so true. So you mentioned earlier, Amberly, about TED Talk, right? So I want to
Yeah.
here to TED Talk, because I know you did a TED Talk. So as they
Hmm.
say, what was your big idea worth to share? Or
Oh
share?
my gosh. So that was so I had it that was one of my dreams to do a TED Talk. And I really thought that when I would get the opportunity, that I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Yay. I was terrified. I was
Sure.
scared to death. So instead of me, I'm so excited. They want me to do TED Talk. I was like, I was sitting on the couch in like a little ball and frozen in fear. And the only thing that got me out of that fear was to take action. So some days that looked like, okay, I just need to go to the gym and work off some of this anxiety that I have right now. But it's when someone says, okay, you have 14 minutes to share the most important message of your life. I went through all sorts of like, oh my goodness, well, what is the most important message of my life? And then I thought, oh, okay, then I had these, that inner critic came in and was saying, who do you think you are? Who's going to, and then when I saw the lineup of all the other speakers, and they all had PhDs, every single one of them, they all had a PhD. Then it didn't help that my husband saw the big list of speakers that went out on the website, and he said, you're the only one that doesn't have a PhD or big letters after your name. And so I was very intimidated. And I really believed in my message so much, though. And sometimes it takes the universe like testing us with little situations that make us believe, that kind of test us to say, oh, really? Do you stand behind your message? Well, I'm going to test you right now. And so I was in the middle of putting my presentation together. I had been practicing it, and I had this big idea, and my daughter had the flu. So she was homesick. I was actually at the ER. I had an infection and got home from the ER, and I'm going up and down the stairs to practice my talk, and downstairs to hold the throw up bucket for her. And I lean over to hold the throw up bucket, and I pull my back. And so I'm lying down upstairs on my back. My TEDx is 3 days away. And I'm thinking, okay, well, in 3 days, I will probably be sick. I won't be able to walk on stage because I can't even stand up because my back hurts so bad. I was spiraling into a full-blown anxiety attack. And one of my friends texted me and she was like, how's it going? I said, horrible. I'm freaked out. My TEDx is coming up. And she texted me back one word. And it was the big idea that I was speaking on. And I had shared what I was speaking on with her. And she texted me back one word and said, pacer. And I was like, oh, yeah. Let me practice what I am speaking on. That's what I'm supposed to do, because I have an acronym. It's PACER, and it stands for Perspective, Acceptance, Community, Endurance, and Rest. And I started going through my PACER acronym, and everything started to shift. I woke up the next day. I was able to walk. My back was better. My daughter started feeling better. I wasn't sick. I think my back probably felt better too because my anxiety was gone. And so I realized I had come up with PACER as a way for me to thrive despite chronic pain. It's what I do to tap into my superpower of resilience. And we all have that superpower. We all have resilience within us. And with PACER, we can learn to strengthen our resilience. It's kind of like going to the gym and getting stronger, lifting weights and getting stronger. If we do these things every day, it is what I do. It's not what I did and now I have resilience and I'm good. It is something I practice every single day. In fact, before we even got on this Zoom conference, I was a little freaked out because my husband called me and said he crashed my truck. I got some bad news about a business deal, and like all these things were going on. And I thought, okay, what do I do? Well, I need to shift my perspective and think of, well, my husband crashed my truck, but he's okay.
Yeah.
I'm grateful he's okay. Okay. That started to shift the anger I had towards him for crashing my truck. And I was like, okay, at least he's okay. Then I'm like, then acceptance, like accept what's going on. For the business deal didn't work out. Accept it. That's what it is. God has another plan. There's something else that's better coming along. Community, I'm about to talk to you. You're my people. I get to connect with you and feel better the minute. I could not wait to sit here and talk with you because I knew I'd feel better once I got to talk to you. And it's so important to reach out to somebody. I used to be in isolation because I was in pain or I was struggling. And I didn't want to reach out to anybody. And that is the worst thing that I could have done. The minute I had the courage to reach out and say, I need help, or I'm struggling, or I don't know how to figure this out, or I'm hurting, or can you just listen to me? Yeah. Everything changed.
Yeah.
And the E in PACER stands for endurance. And man, being an entrepreneur or a mom chasing kids around, whether you're starting a business or whether you're trying to get through finals at school, we all need endurance and ways to strengthen our endurance. And that takes grit. And I think that's where passion and persistence come into play, really. And for me, I really had to learn to rest, which is the last part of PACER, which is something that I have trouble doing. I'm not going to lie. That's the hardest thing for me to do. And my husband now calls me out on it. He's like, PACER, Amberly, where's the PACER? You're not doing the rest. Where's the R? And so, I'm still learning. It's something that I use every single day. And I think that by me being in the ER, my daughter being sick, me throwing my back out, it really made me realize that PACER was helping me get through anxiety. It was helping me get through my fear, and it helps me get through my pain. And when I shared this big idea with my oldest daughter, who's 24, and she keeps it real with me. I knew if I shared it with her to say, what do you think? She would be honest with me. She said, you know what, Mom? She goes, I do believe that's helped you and it continues to help you. She said, it also helped you with your addiction.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're right. And so it's something that I use every day. And it's something that in my sincere wish is that it helps others if they just use these simple tools and stop and pause and think about these things and shift their perspective. And acceptance was really the beginning of my healing journey. It's what I had to do to start to kind of start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. So it's my hope that it really helps someone that's listening today.
Yeah, and it can help everyone listening, right? Because everybody has their own story. It doesn't have to be an accident, could be a life, could be a divorce, could be a job, could be a sport, could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can apply that in any part of our life. So thank
Mm-hmm.
you for sharing that. I know it's just you, it's huge. Yeah. So Amberly, I know you still have pain today, right? And
Yeah.
you constantly in pain. So how do you stay resilient even though you have always this pain still constantly in your life?
Yeah, well, you know what? Pain is no joke. And here's the thing, you can't see pain. Sure, my husband, who knows me so well, he can look at my eyes and he can say, I know you're in pain. I see it in your eyes. But we never really know how somebody feels or what they're going through. And I have to be, careful, because also pain can make you, when I say be careful, because it can make your patience short. It can make you grumpy. It can zap the energy out of you and zap the life out of you. And so besides using Pacer, which is what I use every day to be resilient, and my morning ritual, I think me being of service, and that started in the hospital, being of service. And people say, well, how could you be of service when you were stuck in a hospital bed? I think one of the best ways to get out of your pain is by being of service in someone else's life. So whether that looks like you're only able to make a phone call to check in on to somebody to see how they're doing, or whether that means you're volunteering at your local shelter, or you're volunteering at your child's school at the art program or the PTA, or in your community. When you're of service, it takes your worries and off of the focus of your pain. For me, sometimes, my husband will get upset with me and he'll say, I can tell you're hurting. Won't you just sit down and get off your leg? And sometimes I do. Sometimes I have to. Sometimes I have to put my leg up. But let me tell you, what has saved me is not sitting in that pain and not sitting in the self-pity. It has been my ability to reach out to people, to get out in the community. And community, to me, it may be the most important part of Pacer, because community is powerful. And I remember sharing that with somebody who was in pain. She also had CRPS, and she was talking to me, and I said, well, community is probably the favorite part of my whole journey, is the community of people I've found on my social media who are like my family. I think of them as my family more than my real family sometimes, but don't tell my family that. But community is powerful. And she said, well, you're really lucky that you had a community. You're lucky that you have people. And I said, well, I'll say this again. Hard work puts you where your blessings can find you, because it's not about just taking. You have to give in order for me to receive. When you give, you receive. When I give, I receive that feeling of gratitude, that feeling of contributing. It fuels my passion to keep going when I can be of service and when I can connect with somebody. And, there's something magical when you can reach out and you can connect with somebody who understands what you're going through. Now, it may not be exactly the same. My pain may not be like yours. My divorce may not be like yours. My job loss may not be exactly like yours. But when you have been through something like that, and when you can connect with somebody who's been through it and they've walked through it and they've risen up again, it gives you hope.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that has really helped me thrive despite pain is just being of service. But, like I said, I think my medicine is gratitude, because it's really easy for you to spiral down and start just focusing on the pain or focusing on what you can't do. I can say that because I did that for a while. I was like, I can't run the way I used to. I can't train 12 clients in the gym like I used to. But I said, well, you know what? I can't run like I used to, but I can hike. I can get on top of that mountain. I can't train clients in the gym, but I can do online coaching, and I can do group coaching. And you know what? I can reach even more people now. And so I started focusing on what I can do. And when you're focused on gratitude, it's alchemy. It turns what you can't do into what you can do, and what you don't have into what you do have. And so gratitude is my medicine. And that's why I talk about really focusing on a gratitude journal. And it doesn't have to be long. You can write down 3 things that you're grateful for. And in fact, I even put it in my story on Instagram today, where I'm laying in bed with my 11-year-old and last night, and we're cuddling with our little 3-pound dog. She looks more like a rat, but she's a 3-pound dog. And I always say, what was the best thing that happened today? What are you grateful for? And a lot of times it's something silly or crazy. Last night she said she was grateful, got this big smile on her face, and grateful for some rapper or something that I've never even heard of. It made me feel real old, because I'm like, I've never heard of that rapper. But but I want to instill that in my children and other people, because look, I spent thousands and thousands on medical expenses and medical procedures and medications. On one time, I was on 11 prescription medications and 73 homeopathic pills a day. And nothing was working. Nothing was working for my pain. Nothing was working for my depression, until I got my mindset right. And gratitude was one of the things that helped me with that. It's like I had to reset my mindset, and it's not something I did and now everything's okay. It's something that you have to get up every single day and be willing to. I want my life to change. I want to transform my life. And so I am going to do what it takes for my body, for my mind, and for my spirit every single day to make that transformation happen. And it's not easy at first, but it gets easier. And the more you make it a habit and you get intentional about what you want, that is when you see true transformation.
Yeah, and you're so right. I really want to talk about gratitude again, because just writing 3 things you're grateful for can definitely change your mindset, right?
Yeah.
We reverse it. So it's just huge. So I really want to push the audience to do that job like you teach your daughter. It's just so cute that you teach your kids, that you help your friend, that you help the audience, that you think this gratitude. Yeah.
Well, I have this little candle burning right here. One of my girlfriends for Christmas, because she knows she quoted me and she got me a candle, and she wrote on there one of my quotes that says, gratitude is alchemy. She wrote on there, and I'm like looking at that, because yeah, it is. It's my medicine. And the reason I brought up how much medicine I was taking is because gratitude's free. It's free.
Yeah.
You can do it right now. You can do it today. And I promise you, 100% promise, that it will change your life, and it's free. Absolutely. You can shift your mindset for free.
Absolutely. So Amberly, you were talking about community earlier, and I want to go back to that. How do you build your community?
You know what? That was really hard at first, because although when I first had my accident, I was lucky that I had a pretty big community. I had a family that supported me. I had a large clientele, and my clients showed up for me. In fact, I think I needed my clients more than they needed me. They showed up for me. I had friends that brought me food to the hospital. I had incredible nurses and doctors and a team of people. But slowly after that, it started to get really, really small, because I started to isolate more and more. And it wasn't until I thought, I need help, and this cannot be the rest of my life. I've got to do something to change this. And there was that little glimmer of hope. I mean, it was barely a flicker of light in me that allowed me to summon up every bit of energy and every bit of courage. Because, man, when you're depressed, it is to think about even picking up the phone and calling somebody to ask them for help was really hard. But not only that, I grew up with sayings like suck it up and cowgirl up, and it was not okay to show vulnerability because that meant weakness. And so I had to really be humble enough and desperate. I had the gift of desperation is what it was. And I reached out to one person and said, I'm stuck. I need help. She was a friend of mine. She said, won't you meet me? And we could talk. And then that led to, we invited another friend, and it led to another friend. And now I meet a group of women. Actually, I have two different groups of women that I meet, once every week and one every month. And we have that, I call them the God Squad, and we meet, and then your community just starts to build and build. And so I think if you don't have a community, you can start by even looking up something as simple as how I found my CRPS community online. Was I didn't talk about that much because I was embarrassed to admit that I had a disease or that I had something wrong with me. But once I started going, I want to look into this and see if there's anybody else out there that has that, I started looking up the hashtag CRPS warrior because I wanted to surround myself with people who were warriors. Now, this is the difference. You got to be real careful with who you're choosing in your community, because if I would have looked up CRPS sucks, I would have really started to connect with people who were a bunch of doggy downers, maybe, I don't know, a bunch of people that were like, my life sucks. But I was like, no, I want the warriors. And so I started finding people who have pain, but they still work out. I started looking up fitness and wellness and started finding people online that were, into the fitness and wellness world. And so those are little ways, but you have to be very careful with support groups, because support groups, you have to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with passionate, inspired, empowered people, because you are who you hang around with.
Yeah.
And that's something I teach my kids all the time too. If you're hanging out with the troublemakers at school, guess what? You're going to be in the principal's office soon.
Yeah, and I think that's correct with anybody you hang out, right? Not only just your circle on Facebook or on Instagram, your people, your friends, everybody. It's just it can be a detox hanging out with the wrong people, right?
Yeah, and that's why I think, if there's somebody that you're following on social media and they don't make you feel good, then don't follow them. Just don't follow them. You just unfollow, and you know what? You don't have to see that. But yeah, it's very important to choose people that inspire you, because and I promise you, every year I take an audit around this time, around January, around December, January. I really start to take an audit of the people that I'm hanging around with. And that goes for family and friends, and really pay attention to how you feel after you spend time with those people. And not like we can get rid of our family or some of our close friends even, but you can limit the time that you spend with those people and set healthy boundaries. That's when I look at and I kind of go, how's that working for me? Are they sucking the life out of me? Are they supporting me? Or are they bringing me down? And I always say, and now I've got my husband saying this too, hang around with the puppy uppers, not the doggy downers. Like, get rid of the doggy downers in your life. Just don't hang out with them.
Yeah, it's funny. When I turned 40, I decided, sorry for my French, I'm like, fuck the people I don't like. When you're young, you just want to hang out. You want that everybody like you. right? But I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it's right, because you rather be with people who like you for who you are, but who also bring you something. And then when you choose
Yeah.
to hang out with the right people, you feel just everybody rise each other. You're just empowering each other. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the beauty about it, about having
Mm-hmm.
this good circle of friends. Everybody benefit of it.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And that's something I was just talking to my youngest daughter about this morning on the way to school, because um I told her, I said, when your older sister was this age, I said, she had a lot of friends. But as you start to get older, your circle starts to get a little bit smaller as you start to realize who your true friends are. As they say, that road starts to narrow. And as you get to be a little older, you really, if you have a handful of your true blue friends, those friends that they have got your back, they're the friends that you can say, hey, man, I just launched my book and can you go write a review for it, please? And they're like, yeah, I'm on it. Or they have an event and you're like, I already know what they speak on, but I'm showing up for them and I'm going to hold the video camera and I'm going to take pictures or whatever they want me to do. Those are your true blue friends. Or you can just be yourself, like with your, crazy hair day or sad or happy. You can just, those are your true blue friends.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank
Oh,
you
yeah.
for this interview, and just feeling vulnerable and just showing, telling us about your story. It's just been really
Oh.
amazing. Thank you, Amberly, so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on. I really feel honored that you had me on. Thank you.
It's an own pleasure. Thank you guys for joining. I will see you in the next podcast on audreymeyercoaching.com.